Okay, I'm going to try this on our computer. Hopefully this works. Okay, so it's 2024, September 1st, Chris Katsopoulos, and we're mainly talking about book and also state of the art in dog training. Okay, so they were going to ban the work you do in your
Yes,
state,
not
but
in my state, in another state, but they've already banned it in my state. They did that in 1994.
oh, wow. But are you able to work in your state?
Well, I'm the only registered facility in my state that can do it.
Mm.
We have what's called the Department of Primary Industry. They regulate all the laws. It's just so deep, Kayce. It's not even worth getting into it.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. It's ridiculous. And mind you, the law's been in since 1994 to prevent dog bites, right? All the dog bites have gone up drastically since the law. So it hasn't done anything to the statistics for dog bites at all, because it's got nothing to do with our dogs. Our dogs never bite people. It's the indiscriminate dogs on the street
Yeah, yeah.
biting.
But
Yeah,
then they don't have like you can't have this color, you can't have that color. Um, and really the people that are able to mentally train their dogs without any colors are very few. Yeah, that's true. I work with a lady in the Netherlands. She's in the class right now, and she works with someone who mentally tells the dogs what to do. And yeah, and according to her, it actually really works with him. My husband Dave is weird. He can, like, he just knows what's happening. So we don't even say where we're going to meet or when we're going to meet someplace. Like, let's say I go to the um, hardware store to meet him. I don't say when, and we don't say where we're going to meet because he always just comes out. He always just comes out. He knows somehow. And I hadn't realized how much I took it for granted until I went to the store. And I had been there a whole minute and he didn't show up. And so I went to the customer service and I said, could you please page this person? And she didn't even have his name out of her mouth. And I go, oh, never mind, because there he was walking up the door to meet me. So stranger things have happened, but most people need tools. They benefit
yeah,
from tools.
yeah, 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 yeah. Now, where we got to last Monday was just before that quadrant graph. Never reproduced a purpose extended population.
It was something like was halfway through.
Yeah, yeah, it's right here.
Are you talking?
So it's on the document folder you had, and it's up to that, it's halfway through.
Okay, so are you on? All right, I'm looking at it, and for some reason, I can't remember where the pages are. Let me just see. Okay, so I'm on page 15 right now. What page should I be on?
Well,
13?
my pages aren't numbered because I printed them out. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
with the graph that says positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. It's, the learning quadrant.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your notes.
We didn't quite get there.
No.
We weren't quite that far.
Perhaps it was the page just before.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was
Did we do
down the
this
bottom.
already? Stefanit's dogs need to be reared in homes. Is that where we
Yeah,
were?
further than that.
Oh yeah, okay, because we did the 100 different people.
Yeah. And it was down the bottom. Actually, the question begged to ask, how do you deal with unpleasant experiences and what mechanisms do you have in place that best prepare the puppy and dog to deal with negativity? And then you had something at the bottom that being asked, unpleasant experiences. Oh, that looks like a repeat. You must have
Yeah,
cut and
yeah.
pasted it twice.
Yeah, I could have done it twice.
Yeah. Um, do you remember why you brought that? You put that
Oh,
in there?
just because I get interrupted. And then when I would come back to read, I'd see that I was at that place and I didn't remember doing it
Oh,
before.
no. I'm saying, do you know why you put that in there? Why did you log that in the document? You made a note.
Oh, because um you have you have a lot of control over the genetics of the dogs,
Yes.
and
Well,
I
we hope.
don't.
Yeah.
I don't have any control over the genetics of anything that I work with.
Yeah.
And so you come at it from the framework of you need to select the right dog. And I come at it from the framework of you need to prepare all dogs, and then most of them will be the right dog. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
actually saying it'll be the right dog for what you do because you're doing a specialist job.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, we can prepare all animals to be successful. So
Correct.
that would mean that, some of the puppies that are marginal and everything would make excellent pets rather
Yes.
than possible pets, that kind of
Yes.
thing. So
Yeah.
I'm asking, what mechanisms do you have in place that best prepare a puppy dog to deal with stress? Unless you said that, and I just
I've said
copied.
that. I said that. Yeah. But that
Okay.
was a question in the book. And what I'm suggesting is that, the breeders need to take responsibility in trying to prepare their puppies where possible, that they've got some sort of marking or some sort of rewarding mechanism. So it provides a good feeling. And that's your second event where possible, because
Okay.
it,
So
it
here's
temporarily offsets any negative exposure repetitively, and then you might settle the brain or settle the mental state. And I've been an advocate of that, not understanding what you're doing, but understanding just the mechanisms of second event, good feelings after any unpleasant event. And we've been doing that for years and years. And I see it works. It works really, really well with our dogs.
okay. So
Um,
I'm going to tell you
yeah.
that that's great, and you can use that, and I do. I'm all about using food, but name and explain is the single most useful thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's the thing, it doesn't take training skill, it just takes mindfulness. And I'm trying to get back to our window. It just takes mindfulness. And you don't have to worry about whether the puppy's hungry or anything else. So here is the deal. Did you and I go over the list of making a mental map?
No.
Okay, so let me just show you this. So, all right, and let me see where I am in this. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I have to find my place to get back to it after we see that.
Sure.
Okay. So can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. This is exactly how I teach body parts. Okay. Not exactly how, but like what I'll cover. And so what this this is a list of the things I'm going to name, and I'll explain a little more. And then a tally of how many things we've said to the dog. And keep in mind, this is in 1 minute and 2 seconds. So we timed it twice for classes. So it goes like this. Okay, I'm going to touch your muzzle. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Good, 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 good. That's your muzzle. Here's your chin. Ready? Good, 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 good. Chin. Here's your cheek. Ready? Good, 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 good. Cheek. Yeah, you have one chin, but you have two cheeks. You have a left cheek, X. You have a right cheek, X. You have a head. You have one chin. You have one head, X. That's your head. How about eyes? Do you have one eye or two eyes? You have two. Here's I said it out of order here, but two eyes. Here's your left eye. Here's your right eye. Now you also have two ears. Here's your left ear. Here's your right ear. But let's look at your paws. For your paws, you have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you also have left paws. See, you have 2. 1, 2. Left front, left rear. On your right side, you have right front, right rear. You have 2 front paws, left and right. You have 2 rear paws, left and right. Good. Okay, so I didn't time it this time, but that took me 1 minute and 2 seconds. That's literally how I do it.
Right.
So what'd you say?
I said, yep, yeah, I got that.
So I can't see you anymore, but
Really?
you have a nice ceiling.
Oh, no, I turned the computer up so I could see the bigger screen.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So the whole point is you can systematically name everything for these puppies.
Hmm.
And as you explain to them what will happen, you will start seeing incredible changes. Absolutely incredible changes in their ability to cope. So Elizabeth Feldman Barrett wrote a book, How We Construct Emotions, I think is the title of it. And she talks about the consensus among researchers that the single most valuable thing you can do to help something cope with stress is to name the stress.
Mhm.
So after people get certified, I always interview them and ask them what thing has made the biggest difference for you. And without exception, they all say name and explain. So name and explain is simply a narrative. It's just an ongoing narrative. And a lot of people are very resistant to it. But you saw it. I'm not really verbose. I just tell the animal this, this, as we're doing it. This is what I'm touching. This is where it is. This is how many there are. This is how they relate to the other things. Then it would be like, look, here's your tail. You only have one tail. So let's talk about what you have one of. You have one nose, you have one head, you have one neck, you have one spine, you have one tail, but you have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 shoulders, 2 cheeks, etc. So what I'm doing is I'm naming all these body parts, but I'm also introducing all these concepts. Right versus left, 1 versus 2. So in addition to the names, which are just vocabulary, also features of that vocabulary. So what we're doing then is we're creating a mental map. And we talked before about what I do versus repetition. So you can see here, there's a lot of repeated information, but there's always a new piece tagged onto it. This is your ear. You have one ear or two ears. You have two, a left and a right. How about your eyes? You have two of those, left and right. You have an ear and an eye on the right side. You have an ear. So it's always cross mapping these things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, not only do you prepare the animal for the future and educate him, because when you say these things, it's well known in education that you create anticipation so that the animal is looking to harvest that information out of his experiences. It's like when you take kids to the park and you say, okay, we're going to go to the park, and they go, what's a park? And you go, well, there's going to be this and that and the other thing. And then they go there looking for those things. So you can do this while the puppies are just born. You know, you can name all their body parts, all the foods, all the other individuals, their mothers, the relationships, you, all the toys, all the activities, all the events. And that will prepare them in many, many ways. And one of the most important is that you're taking the dog from the experiential viewpoint to the observer viewpoint. And if you want people not to get upset, not to panic, that's the first thing you need to do. That's why they give everybody that works in a critical job slot emergency protocols. And one of the things that people often kid around about is they'll say, do this and this and this before you panic. You can panic after you do these things. But if you get people engaged in mental thought, they are less able to panic.
Yeah.
So it's just a strategic thing. So a lot of people get lost in the idea that this is a dog, he doesn't speak English. Well, you're going to find out they speak a lot more than people think they do, or they don't speak it, they're passive, you know, they understand it. But also, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if all that dog does is say, that stupid woman, doesn't she know I'm a dog? I don't speak English. Because while he's doing that, he's thinking and he's not engaged in getting aroused or whatever. So for your people or for you guys, you know, during those short 7 or 8 weeks while you have those puppies, oh my God. You could do all the body things, a lot of the vet things, a lot. And those dogs would know. And another thing that happens when they gain the vocabulary for those things is they listen. Like a lot of these dogs, you'll see them just listening to what's going on around them. And then they'll just act according to what they hear. So this happens all the time. Okay, tell your dog that they need to get easy. You're not going to do anything until they get easy. But if they get easy, you can take them for a walk. And the dog just lays down right then and gets himself easy. He doesn't wait for the owner to go. If he's like, okay, I get the deal. Now can I go for a walk? Happens all the time. And the owners aren't expecting anything. And they'll go, wow, it's like my dog understood everything. Take your dog for a walk. So,
you know, if we could actually, that is definitely the missing ingredient. If we could turn off as such their crazy state and just put them in a calm state at will, it would take everything to a new level.
it does. It does, because, you know, exotic animals don't have good breeding.
No.
We don't have any selection on
Well,
them,
you would assume through natural selection they have the best breeding.
but maybe for the wrong thing, right?
Yeah.
But in any case, I can almost always get around the animals very quickly, like that rhino video. Now, I was on the outside. I wasn't worried about this rhino going after me. However, when I was there and working, there's these bars, and I'm putting my hand in between, the rhino's head and the bar. And if he went like that, if he went after my hand with malice, he could have ruined my hand, at least.
Yeah.
Cut it off even. And when I did that, I'm talking to this animal and I can see he's engaged and he's curious. He's asking the question, is this what you mean? Is this what you mean? And even like he kept dropping one kind of food. And I didn't notice it at first. It was oranges. And I kept going, oh, you dropped your orange. The orange is on the ground. And he goes like that and ignores it. Your orange is on the ground. And finally, he's just like, oh, for God's sake. And he eats the orange and looks up. Thank you, babe. He looks up like, okay, now can we go on? Now I ate the damn orange. And he didn't like the oranges. So he's telling me that, but I was oblivious and he wanted to know the next thing I was going to tell him. So with these animals, when you see them as intelligent sovereign beings and just talk to them exactly like we're talking together. Like when we started talking, there was no posturing where I'm going, well, I'm not sure that I really talk to trainers like you because blah, blah, blah. And you didn't say anything about, well, you're not really a dog. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you just come and you just meet each other with respect and
exploration.
Yeah, honest exploration, honest collaboration. That is the greatest safety insurance you can get with a dog or with any animal. So anyway, here's what comes to my mind right now. When's your next litter? Don't you have two coming close together?
Yeah. Next litter is not far, 24 days.
That should be our book.
Okay. Yes.
That should be our book. You could take one litter and do it the way you always have. And you could take the other litter,
which is 14 days later.
Yeah. Or you could take half of one litter and half, because maybe one litter. Do you know how many puppies are in each litter?
No.
Yeah. So anyway, it's not a carefully designed research thing, but you could just try it out in the exact setting that you have. And so you'd either want to do half of each litter one way or the other way, or one litter one way and one litter the other way. And just document what you find. And we could talk and we could do a series of shorter videos and just say for each thing, okay, the top priority from my perspective would be to cover these subjects. So it would happen like such and such. And then could you video yourself doing that?
Yeah.
And thank you. Meanwhile, I'm supposed to get goats next week. And so we have so much poison ivy and honeysuckle vines and stuff like that we cannot keep up with it. We only have 2 acres, but we can't keep up with it. But also we've got another motivation because the horses are very bonded, but Sarah is 33 and she has Cushing's disease and she's melting away. So I'm trying to reverse that, but I have not been able to this time yet. If one of the horses passes suddenly, the other one could just die of grief. So we need to get some other people into their group.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
otherwise, I don't need any other animals.
Okay.
But if we did something like this, and we could make an agreement that says what each of us will do and what we'll do with the materials, but you have lots of experience doing it the way that you do,
Correct.
and lots of experiences raising puppies. I have lots of experience raising all animals and leading people like this, like over the internet. And we can just see what you find, like what you see. And is it like, does it make the differences? But when we're talking about stuff, many times you'll say, oh, that's the missing link. Man, I identify with that so much. When you
Mhm.
do something and you study it very carefully and you keep getting to a certain point, and you're like, why is this a sticking point?
Mm.
Why is this a sticking point? And then all of a sudden, somebody comes at it from a different perspective, and you realize, you just recognize
Yeah.
that's a way around it.
Yeah.
If I wore snowshoes, I could go over this mud instead, that kind of thing. So
Kayce, did you read the did you see that link I sent you, the PDF on Murray
I
Sidman?
did see it and I have not had a chance to read it. Do you want to do it right now?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, is it not Cedar or Seligman or Sidman? I did start to read it.
There was a section in there that
Let me see if I have it.
this is an assessment. So it was written by someone else on the book. So just an overview of Sidman's book. But there was something that I saw that was really interesting.
Okay, so let me go there. Okay. What does it say on the subject? Does it say,
It says coercion and its fallout.
no, I mean the title on the email.
I never put titles on emails.
Okay.
I never
Okay,
do.
I found it.
You found it?
Yeah. All right. Okay, do you want to tell me what the conclusion is or you want to read it?
No, look, it's too long to read. It's just too long to read it. But read it in your leisure. But there was a segment in there, and I've just got to find it because if you go down the middle, and it says Sigmund argues that in addition to the main effects, can you see that?
Yeah, hold on. I just made it bigger. Okay, let me just read it. I'm pretty fast. I won't read it out loud. I'll just read it real quick. And you can go back to reading it also to find that statement. But maybe
Yeah.
Against a widespread view of behavior control as coercive control. You know what? The big problem with these guys is they don't understand how to use punishment. So his conclusion that he makes in the fourth paragraph is
Which
erroneous. Is that the one you're talking about?
uh, which one
It's
is it?
not the use of coercive behavior control per se, but the reciprocal and escalating relationship between coercive control and counter control. The issue is not whether or not there should be behavior control, but whether or not it will be done scientifically. Scientific behavior control based on the science of behavior analysis is control that is exerted systematically, effectively, thoughtfully, and most important, humanely. So I'm still reading. Not through negative reinforcement and punishment. See, he doesn't even understand his own stuff.
Mm.
And then he says he allows
So
there
why
maybe
would he say, doesn't make sense. Scientific behavior control is controlled through positive reinforcement as elucidated in the science of behavior analysis, not through negative reinforcement punishment that
that's
is
what I'm saying.
coercive.
He doesn't even understand his own stuff because he
Well,
just,
hang on. Even the professor writing this doesn't understand it.
huh? Oh, well, okay. That could be a problem. Okay. So now here comes the next one. Gosh, we should write notes on this.
Yeah.
Oh, at least we have the recording. It'll be in the transcript. Okay. So, even when justified, he argues that such instances will occur only because of mistakes made by agents of control, ignorance, or emergency situations. In the rare case where coercive control is justified, Sidman argues it should be a last resort and should only be a temporary expedient, providing an opportunity to put into place reinforcement-based techniques for behavior control. And that's just simply ignorant. So you got to remember that these people were dealing, well, pigeons, rats, and kids.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that all of them, you get the animal. In our society right now, it's Trump. And Trump does not obey any rules. None. He just systematic, and there's a bunch of people that are pissed off because there's any rules, and they'll actually come out and say they just want to see him wreck everything. They just want to see it all get wrecked.
Bring
And
it to the ground.
huh?
Bring it to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sigmund, have a look at that last one. Sigmund argues that in addition to the main effects expected as an outcome of coercion, there are also secondary effects that are often of greater significance than the intended effect, such as the
Yeah.
probability of...
And this I know all about. And it's like they just don't know how to do this control. The very fact that he said, oh, just positive reinforcers and not negative reinforcers.
Yep.
That's crazy. Because when we do the intermediate bridge, when we're giving it, that's a positive reinforcer. When we withhold it, that's a negative reinforcer.
Yep.
If we get what we want out of the behavior. So if that is indeed what Sidman said and not this guy misunderstanding, then that's stupid. It's not justified. And then I have worked a lot with punishment in the past. Mm-hmm. And I, as you know, I just did that podcast about why we still need to teach punishment. So here's the problem. If people are going to have to use punishment in emergency situations, they still have to know how to punish. Mm-hmm. how to punish fairly and effectively. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have to like break the directions out of a, glass case, break in case of emergency, and now you figure out how to deal with this. And he's saying, oh, it should be very rare. That's garbage, because every single dog that you take out into real life is very likely at least once or twice to lunge at something
Yeah.
at some point in his training. And you are going to have to interrupt or, give some kind of consequence for that behavior. And interruptions can look like punishments, but they may not be as effective as a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have to do it again. You may have to set it up and everything else. But just the way that they're talking shows that they do not understand punishment. Further, we have a boatload of information from the training of military troops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they talk about trauma from being told even things like no. And they talk about the animals getting more and more aggressive. But I will tell you that I have never seen anything cause horses to bite more than the improper use of food. So these people that are going to click or train a horse will go and create a rigid expectation of food, and then the horse will get very entitled, and they call it mugging, where the horse tries to, grab the food out of your hands or get it out of your pocket or your bucket or whatever. And that is handler error. Trainer error. The trainer didn't train it correctly in the first place. Because I work my animals all around food and they don't touch it until I give it to them.
Mm. So
Okay.
it's a reinforcement threshold, sets an expectation in the horse.
Okay. I don't understand the term reinforcement threshold, but in
Well,
exotics,
in my first book, I call it a set point. It's almost like if you consistently reward the animal at exactly the same point all the time, well, then how the hell does the animal know where the hell you're going? It
yeah,
doesn't, where you're heading with this task. So he
yeah,
just sets up a rigid expectation point and believes that's it.
yeah. And not only is that bad training, but we know with exotics that you're most likely to get injured or killed when you get between two animals that are upset with each other, or if you leave when they don't want you to leave.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The biggest thing you can do to ensure safety is to randomize everything.
So there's no expectation.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I had a dog perhaps 10, 15 years ago that would do that when you wanted to leave the kennel. He'd start growling at you.
Mm-hmm.
He would block the exit point and
Yes.
literally stiffen up, and it'd start growling at you.
Yeah.
Mm. So
And
you're saying that, why do they do that? Why is he doing that?
it's essentially like resource guarding.
Mm.
And I'm rearranging some things here. Um, and all you have to do to fix that is make it non-predictable. And it's just a form of leadership anyway. Like if you said, with an employee, you're going to get off this time of day every day, and if you don't, you can sue me. Well, you got to let them off at that time every day, or they can sue you, and that's fair. And but when you're working with things where your life is on the line all the time, you approach it differently. You're not my employee, we're collaborators.
Yeah.
And I'm always negotiating on your behalf as well as on mine. And
Mm.
I trust you to look after me as well as you look after yourself. And So when I leave you with this food, it doesn't matter because look, I have more food over here for you. And watch this. I'm going to go out of here. And when I go out of here, maybe at first, I'll have another person come over here and target them, and they're getting food as I'm leaving. So they're actually literally getting paid to let me leave. Next thing you know, they're looking forward to me leaving. Then I come around a different place. I go, look, I went outside and now we can do this interesting thing. And they come over there. And I talk to them. It's like, okay, I have to go do this, but I will come back as soon as I finish and we can do such and such, unless things go out of control. So we're always, this is the name and explain magic. We're setting up our plans together and how me leaving is actually going to make a better day for them. And then if for some reason I can't do it, if possible, I'll go by and say to the animal, hey, I got tied up. I'll see you again as soon as I can. I mean, we literally do that. So they had a killer whale named Ramu at SeaWorld San Diego. And these two trainers were kidding around, and it was disrespectful to the whale. One trainer asked the other, it was also disrespectful to the other trainer. So one trainer asked this other trainer for help, and the trainer did it. And this wiseacre trainer tosses him a piece of fish. Well, first of all, no human wants to have a piece of fish thrown at them. And that is a demeaning, stupid little joke that it doesn't elevate everybody. So that was the first trainer was not at his peak. But Ramu got really angry. And when he saw this guy throw his fish to this other trainer, he came out of the water, came right through the show wall, and had this trainer that didn't even do the bad thing. The trainer that the fish got thrown to, he had him pinned up against the second wall. And they had to take Ramu out of shows. And they had to stop all water work with Ramu for an entire year. And then all of a sudden they realized it's a rigid expectation of food. Ramu sees all of that food as his, and nobody else gets it. And he's going to get X amount. And they thought that their best people had to be on the orcas. And so they had to be the most operant conditioning wise.
Oh.
But operant conditioning is not the best thing for real life work. It's maybe the best thing if you've got a little 1 foot square box and you can keep the animals from doing anything else, including leaving. But in real life, I could train that rat to do everything they want it to do so much faster than it will learn in that little box. I could just show it and explain it and, go do amazing things. So
Yeah.
these guys think they understand learning, but they've gone at it from such a rarefied thing. Like, how many thousands of times will this pigeon push this lever in order to get this drug? And there are no distractions, and there are no other animals, and all that stuff.
Yeah. Very good point.
So
Very good point.
after they realized this thing, they had Ramu back in shows, everything was good. They just had to go through and randomize.
Really? I can't find that. I'll have to read that thing and I'll send it to you. I can't find what I was referring to, but 2 points
the
that
set
come up.
point idea?
No, there were 2 points in that document that I read that almost identified oppositional defiance disorder, and also the conventional thinking in punishing is to eliminate a behavior. And as much as I agree with that general science in it, in the book that you've just read, in Good Dog Training, I've said we shift that. We may punish an undesirable behavior, but we shift that and we literally catapult the dog, or that's probably the wrong word, but push the dog into the desired behavior that he knows very well. And because he knows it very well, I mean, it's almost incredible to see. You've got to see this in real life. The dog actually goes to the behavior with the tail wagging like a child saying, I've worked it out. I know exactly
Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah, I
And
do think that's what they're saying.
yeah,
It's
it's
like in this class that I've been going to, the guy will start to say something to the class and I'll see where he's going. And I'll just look away and I'll smile to myself. And I notice he notices. He notices I get it. I get it before most of the other people get it. And I don't say anything about it or whatever. I just get it.
yeah.
And that's what the dogs do. They're like, I see where you're going with this. And they'll just move into that position. They
Yeah.
are dying for us to recognize them for getting it, for saying, Ace, I didn't even explain it. And you just read my mind. Outstanding.
Mm. Mm. Yep. Okay.
Are we
Okay.
going
So,
back to that Sidman paper?
uh, what was the question?
Are we going back to the Sidman thing?
Not necessary.
Okay.
No, you can read it at your leisure.
Yeah,
But
but why? Why did you want me to see it?
um,
Did I tell you about
I
Dave
can't remember.
getting after Rocky for not giving him a container? So Rocky's a really transactional dog. He wasn't when he was younger, but now he's 11 and he's, got arthritis and stuff like that. And David given him something to eat and he wanted the container back. And so he says to Rocky, give me that container back. And Rocky just totally ignores it. And so Dave gets a little frustrated. Give me the container back. And Rocky ignores him. Give me the container now. I go, just a minute. I go out and I get a couple of pieces of cucumber. And I asked Dave to allow me to intervene. And I said to Rocky, I need your container. I have 2 pieces of cucumber. And Rocky goes straight over, gets the container. Now, what he does is he a lot of times will fumble it on purpose. Because you know that thing that Ivan Balabanov says all the time, what they really crave is possession games where you're trying to get it from them. And so when Dave just like tries to get stricter and stricter, and Rocky's like, what are you going to do about it? Rocky is thirsting for that fight, that argument over the thing. And so when he fumbled it, I just turned around. Nope. After a few seconds, I turned back and I said, last time, da da da. And he just reaches over and picks it up and hands it to me. There's still punishment involved. There was a timeout, and a lot of people do not understand how effective that is. And there was still, I'm not always willing to negotiate for things. There are certain things, if I say drop it, I'm not going to pay you a cucumber if you drop it. You better drop it now. But there's only 4 things in my world that they have to do. And so as long as they do those things, everything else is negotiable. For me, it doesn't have to be that way in anybody else's world. And so it works like a charm, but so many people just think that you're going to escalate a punishment. And that's like if you escalate or you increase weights, You just build greater resistance.
Mm,
You increase resistance, you build a better ability to resist the increased weight.
yeah, get stronger. Um, okay, so
I'm
continue
still
with
reading
those.
this while you're looking for the next thing.
Okay, you're still reading the coercion and fallout.
Yeah, but you can take us to the next thing. I'm just going to do this until you decide the next thing.
Yeah.
He is right about what humans do. We don't have as much control over humans as we do over animals.
Correct. Tell out when you're finished. Actually, while you're reading that, I'll just do something. 2 minutes.
We could get rid of all unwanted conduct just by constructing new behavior to replace it. That is not true.
Hang on 1 moment. Okay. What did you say? I missed that bit.
I forget, but it'll be in the transcript. Basically, neither one of these guys understands stuff. And he talks about Sidman sometimes talks about at times his use of negative reinforcement reads as though he means punishment. That's exactly what happened above. One must keep in mind that both employ aversive stimulus. That's the aversiveness that's being referred to. And here's the thing that these guys are missing the boat. What it really refers to is not something that's necessarily coercive or in aversive. And this is something that it doesn't have to be. A punisher is not necessarily something an animal doesn't like.
Yep.
And a reinforcer is not necessarily something the animal does like. And I can flip reinforcers and punishers so fast. Yeah, I can take it. They do it all the time with rats in experiment. Take their favorite food, make them sick with it, and they hate that food
Yeah. Yeah.
from that moment on.
Yeah. It's
Um, you do something for me, and I say, I'm going to make you the best, hot fudge sundae you've ever eaten as a reward for that. And we have it, and that's great. And then I say, okay, we've got another job to do. I'm going to make you the best hot fudge sundae. I just satiated you. I wrecked that as a reinforcement, no matter how much you generally like it.
correct.
And it goes on and on. I have seen people ruin things for animals just because of that, like that guy with the killer whale, treating the food that he worked for with disrespect. So
What about the idea that's going around? I see a lot. Um, if the notion that a dog or rewards should be as expected or better than expected for it to be rewarding or produce the effect that's required.
you have something that supersedes that. You
Which
have
is,
reflexivity.
yeah, but
Reflexivity trumps that.
there's a lot going around about only training the dog with the existential food, only the food that it gets daily, and there's no variation of it. You only control the quantity in order to increase the motivation through hunger. And they're only using that food. And I really struggle with it because it's, if the dog doesn't like the damn food, as an example, and it's purely driven by motivation to eat, but really doesn't like the food. And I can see this in people with their tracking dogs. They have a dog that's not really fond of the food that they're feeding, and they're relentlessly pushing it down their throat, saying, that's what you're going to eat. That's all I can afford effectively.
But
And
here's
I'm
the
not going to
thing.
change it.
I agree with you, but it's still I'm trying to find the words for this.
And I'm bringing that up is because I'm arguing,
Okay.
as opposed to the point of, how about introducing an activity with some
Yes.
food that the dog's fond of?
No, it's relationship.
Yes.
It's relationship. My horse, I go in and I take stuff that she likes, and I don't know if you caught it, but I did a little video of her with apple slices.
Yes.
And I said, you can have them plain, or look, here's all these things we could put on them. So do you want this or this? And she was really interested. She really wanted, and she didn't always pick the same thing, although cloves is no question the hands down favorite.
Yep.
But I can also, with that same horse, go, I am so sorry. I didn't bring food today. I made a mistake. Can we just do this work and then we'll go out together and graze? And she'll go, all right. And she'll do the work and then we'll go graze. There are times when I make a mistake. I did it today. I told her to go left and I meant right. And she always like, really? And today I didn't even catch it until the second time. And I realized, oh, I just told her the wrong direction. It's like we have a relationship where we report to one another. And it isn't just the food. When I take food to her, I'm conspiratorial. Look, okay, see if you like this. Do you like this or do you like it this way? What if we did this? What if we go do this for a while? And then, so we plan it in a similar way. till you plan going out to dinner with your friends.
Yeah.
If you have the relationship at that level, and then you turn around and treat the horse like an automaton or treat the dog like an automaton. So Rocky really likes a lot of vegetables. And I don't think most dogs would work for them like Rocky does. Rocky loves it. But I make a big deal. I'm like, Rocky, you got to try this. What do you think? Do you like it? You don't like, do you want to try this one? What about if I put this juice on it? What about if we go out and we do this first and then we'll do this thing? So, some zoo trainers said that the hardest thing to train was open mouth on cue.
Yeah.
So last night, Rocky bit a toad. Now I have to rinse his mouth out. Well, Rocky, one of his things is, and he has his infected ear and all this stuff. And so this, Dave's just like, there's no way I can't do that. And I said to Rocky, if you open your mouth, I will spray it. So can I spray for one? Well, it turns out he let me do that. And at first it was just from the side. And then he started to get it and he would open his mouth. But I wanted him to keep his mouth open longer. But when I sprayed it, he would close his mouth to swallow the water. And then I realized, Rocky, I get it. You open your mouth for two and then I'll spray your mouth. And he's like, and so I'm spraying out his mouth. Before we got done, I think we were up to 4. Now, it's not the control behavior like, but this zoo expert trainer had said that that's the one thing she can't train. And we do that day in and day out. And we do it with targets, like that. And I already mentioned that we, slide things in and out of their mouth and all that kind of stuff. So this was similar. I just needed to rinse his mouth out. I never thought about it before, but for a toad. And able to do that. And there was watermelon rind involved. So after he did some, it'd be like, oh, okay, that's great. Do you want watermelon rind? But here's the thing that I think is magical about it. Do you notice how much of the transaction is me putting power in their hands?
Yeah.
Can you do this? What if you do this and I'll do this? Do you want watermelon? Do you want to go outside? What if we did this and that? There's a heck of a lot of negotiation. Self-direction is more reinforcing than food. If you've got that kind of relationship, like with a dolphin or a monkey or something, definitely with my horse, I think Rocky too. And then you just start pushing food at them. They're like, what the heck? Like these guys in the 70s tried to control dolphins and sea lions by withholding food. So they'd only feed them 80% of what they should have. So they would always keep them hungry so that they could always get them to do what they wanted. We ended up with a generation of stunted marine mammals. And they
because of the reduction of nutrition.
Yeah, habitual reduction of nutrition. And they didn't do any better. If I want to get dolphins to do something, it's like working a class of junior high guys. You have to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
You have to be able to keep up with them mentally. You have to beguile them. You have to. So this is the problem that lies beyond the problem of your book. You tell them, you keep them hungry for the food, blah, 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 blah. That's good information, but it's not the truth.
Yeah.
It's not what you do. It's not what I do. It's the least common denominator to get the most people there with the least skill.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I never pay any attention. In fact, my horse, I'm feeding her constantly because, like I said, she's melting away and it's breaking my heart. But she doesn't do anything for food. And I actually had an experience myself where before I met Dave, I was really good about never eating certain foods like wheat. And so I was staying with a hostess, and she had gotten some really nice dessert that had wheat in it. And then she got me some kind of like stale old cantaloupe. Well, first of all, I don't mind if they eat wheat dessert and so on and so forth, but I don't need anything additional. I'll take care of myself. And to give me stale old cantaloupe while they went off conspiratorially to eat their stuff. And she literally said, "Here, you get this." And I was just like, and I walked out of the thing. It's like, and that was the end of any friendship. I never forgave her for that. Now, what did she do wrong? I have a hard time even saying it, but she treated me like other. There was her friend, they were both Dutch. There was her friend, and they were going to do this, but since I didn't do what they did, then she was marginalizing me. That's what I didn't forgive her for.
People
And,
are crazy.
huh?
People are crazy. People
But
are crazy.
yeah, but this is what we do wrong with animals. This is what we do all the time. That's what the killer whale trainer did. It wasn't really that he gave away his fish. Now, here's another example. When you work with orangutans, they don't mind eye contact. And they'll look at you like, okay, what are you doing there? And then you'll show them and they'll look at it. But with gorillas, if you look at them, they're like, like get some politeness. But if you come up and you say, gorilla, I have this thing to show you. May I show you? And then it's going to do this. And the gorilla goes, now that is interesting. And then the gorilla starts to do it. And then the gorilla looks at you like, is this it? And I'll go, yes. And they'll look away. And the next thing you know, the gorilla and I are looking right at each other. But we are now not other to each other.
Got
And
it.
this is the thing. This is the real thing that name and explain is the fast lane to, is sharing sovereignty with another being, sharing all the information, sharing the choices. Okay, why
Jesus,
do you take
Kayce, how do you put this into content?
Well, funny you would ask this. Okay, so I told you about my class and how expensive it is. And it needs to be that expensive or more, and it's worth that. But what I don't have is all the other stuff that we're talking about. So I have these little tiny manuals, but I've been so intent on getting the materials worked out for the professional trainers. And when I say that, what I mean is I already know how to do all this stuff and how to explain it, but you got to get it put into classes that sequentially lead people along. And I did all that for perception modification. The people are very good at it. So we're successful. And then I just realized I didn't give them a workbook and I didn't give them an outline. And they need those two things to support their mastery. So now I'm going back and doing more for that. But what I haven't done, because I gave up on it when I started seeing that all these animals need perception modification. And then we can go in and do the task training. and we've got complete collaboration. We've got the animals pushing the process forward. The animal saying, here's a better idea. Go ahead.
Is perception modification, explain that to me in a broad sense. Perception modification.
It's empowering animals to cope with stress and manage their own emotions. And it's a process on a medical basis of blocking dopamine, redirecting to GABA and serotonin, and reprogramming triggers. And when we reprogram those triggers, we flip the situation so they literally see it differently. So in the little video where the pig's being bled and it's terrified, and then you see the next frame and the pig is eagerly standing there, totally free, totally cooperative, and a 5-inch needle plunged into the vena cava right next to the heart, and the little pig is freestanding and totally cooperative. And there's a second little pig behind the technician waiting to be the next pig. Because when we taught them to do this procedure, they all wanted to be first. So we changed their perception of what it meant to get your blood taken.
But how do they have a perception if they've never experienced it?
The uncertainty. And that's another place where the name and explain is huge. Because even if they don't understand what you're saying, you tell them what it's going to be. And then as they experience things, you confirm the labels. We're going to go to the park. What's a park? It's going to have this and this and this. We are now at the park. Do you see this? And do you see this? And do you see this? So that now you've seen them. Let's go experience them. You're going to get on them, blah, 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 blah. You are filling out their mental map, very logically. You're relating all these things. These are things at the park. This is what they look like. This is what they're called. This is what it feels like. We can do these things when it's raining. We can't do, etc. These are all different layers of connectedness and everything. All things being equal, everybody loves to learn. This is hugely reinforcing for the animals. And the fact that we go into it as a team is also very reinforcing. One of the problems is that to really be good at this, it's just like us speaking. You have to be fluent.
Yeah.
You have to just flow into explaining things, to seeing the teachable moments. Look, here comes the dog. Let's do this. Or a situation that I had to deal with several times was a very good, very sensitive service dog who got upset about air brakes. So I just talked to her, Libby, those are air brakes. They're in all these trucks. If they're hurting your ears, we'll see about getting you earplugs. But for right now, let's go down the street a little bit and we'll be further away. So let's watch and see if we see, that kind of thing. Like acknowledging that she had a valid complaint, but we still needed her to be able to cope with it. But I'm not just acting like, oh, she's being stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, she's just being willful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to get back to your book.
Got it.
But here's the last thing on this stuff. For me, writing the book, the next thing I kind of need to do is general animal training. And I don't even know who the market for that is, but it's just to be complete. I kind of feel like I want to start at the beginning, but just stuff like approaching an animal and not staring directly at it, approaching at an oblique angle, putting your hands out for the dogs to come into if they want to, not doing this. the way that you move around an animal. You don't move your foot next to the animal first. You teach them how to withstand the temptation to move with your leg. And it goes on and on and on. There's so many basic things that people don't know. Like if you're going to catch a bird, you need to have a sheet with you and cover the bird up, because a bird can die of stress just from seeing what's happening around it. Whereas if you cover his head, he'll be fine. And that's why they put those hoods on hawks.
Really?
But the next layer would be starting puppies, starting dogs. And it would be really a huge opportunity. So go ahead.
That's it. It's the development, the introduction, the development, early age, or the early age development for the dogs. That's where that's the biggest kicker. That's the biggest problem. And a lot of people perceive and believe that they have the solution, but they don't. They really don't. Now, Tonya sent me a video from Huberman
Oh,
just
okay.
a little while ago, which I haven't watched, but it addresses the very subject of the dopamine and
Oh, I've
addiction
seen that
states.
one.
Yes, and but I've got to get to a particular segment because she's listened to it. She said, just go to,
Okay, are you gonna watch it together here?
look, I haven't even got it up. I don't even know where it is.
Oh,
But
okay.
what's important is, whilst we're addressing this issue of developing the animals better or preparing the animals better before they go to their new home, and then the continuation of, but it's also, we're in a real sticky point with the type of dog being bred now is almost hysterical, and we've got to be able to eliminate this point that they get to, which is so extreme that they cannot control themselves. And people are resorting to punishes to try and stop it. And it doesn't stop it. It actually makes it worse.
I know.
So, and
I
I
know
did
that.
actually, I asked the guys to video a segment on Saturday for you, but they didn't. They missed it. They got it at the tail end, and it's not right. So we will endeavor to do that this Saturday and show you one particular thing that's really going on that is going to be a struggle for this lady. And it's difficult to explain. I won't explain it to you because it's just easier to see it and you'll see what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I get that. So one of the things we need to do is I need to write you an outline, and you
Yeah.
need to write me an outline. And what your outline should be to me is what you do to rear puppies and
Mm.
what outcome you expect.
Yeah.
You're really good at that.
Mm.
You're really good at that. So write that out, and we'll exchange at the same time if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that we both, I like to do it that way, where we both do our input and then we exchange and we can collaborate on it to the next level. But here's the thing. One of the problems with early training is that the animal has to develop,
Mm.
and the animal's going to lose his whole family group. In real life, he would normally stay with the group,
Mm.
and we're going to change that. And he's going to have all this change. So he's having loss, so he's grieving, but he also has a bunch of new stuff to adapt to. But here's what we can do. I don't think it's appropriate to do much or any kind of physical training, because you need to organize your training to not stack up stresses.
Yeah.
But you can sit there with brand new puppies and name their body parts
Yeah.
and name activities
Mm-hmm.
and name the other people around, and what the items are that you're using and where you're going and who came in and all this stuff. And they are sponges.
Mm.
And you can
Yep.
name directions and up versus down and turning to the right and turning to the left, as well as the idea of your left side versus your right side and numbers and counting. You can do all that